Hi everyone, I'm Charlie Brooks, actress and founder of IAMPRO. Welcome to the IAMPRO podcast, where I interview performers, actors and theatre and filmmakers about their journey into the industry, their process as creatives and how they became pro. So sit back, enjoy, while I extract all of the juiciest information we need. Welcome to the IAMPRO podcast, where we dive deep into the minds and careers of remarkable individuals in the world of entertainment. I'm your host, Charlie Brooks, and today I am talking to a young man called Alex Hill. Now, you may not know him by name yet, but after leaving drama school and struggling to get seen, Alex took his career into his own hands and wrote his own play. That play, which is called Why I Stuck a Flare Up My Arse for England, or maybe better known as the Bum Flare play, was shown at Edinburgh Fringe before getting a transfer to the Southwick Playhouse. It starts on April 17th, and I, for one, cannot wait to see it. Alex joins us now to tell us all about his creative process from conception to stage and to give us tips on how to make shit happen. Welcome, Alex.
Good morning. Thank you, Charlie. What a lovely intro.
That's
Thank
all
you.
right. I'm getting better at the intros these days. How are you today?
I'm good, thanks. I'm good. Yeah, feeling good. I'm happy the sun's out again. It's starting to kind of feel a bit more like spring, so happy
Doesn't
days.
it
How are
make
you?
a difference when that sun is shining?
Absolutely. It feels so good. Like it's just I feel a lot more kind of productive. I get up a bit earlier. So
Me, yeah. I've been in kind of hibernation in the dark. I'm very unproductive. So I've no doubt I'll get inspired by you today. But do you suffer from the same thing when the weather? I didn't think I was one of those people, but maybe it's because I'm a bit older now, but I definitely am.
yeah, I think the weather does help. But to be honest, like there's days when I do absolutely nothing as well. Um, I don't know. I don't know if I'm a very productive person in God's honest truth. I know from your intro that might seem like a bit of a lie, but um, I think sometimes I'm probably a bit too hard on myself to try and get up and just fill the day. And then what happens, kind of in replacement of that, is that I don't do anything because I'm so stressed about doing stuff that you end
Oh
up
my
not
God,
doing anything.
hard relate. I mean, I've been there, but also I think what's really important about that is knowing that this will pass and that in those moments, actually, what we're doing is allowing for inspiration to come in. And so it's all part of a process.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. I think it's really important to just kind of be easy on yourself from time to time to kind of allow those moments. Um, I did a playwriting course, and one of my big problems was I said to the tutor, I was like, "Oh, I'm not going to lie, like I can't get up and just write for 8 hours." Like there's a lot of playwrights out there that will get up at 9 o'clock and they'll just sit at their computer, and even if they don't write anything for 8 hours, they just sat there. But I just find it a complete kind of waste of time personally because it's like if I'm just sat staring at a screen, I'm not getting kind of any inspiration. And a lot of the stuff that was in the play that I wrote came from experiences that I had. And
Yeah.
the tutor kind of said, "Oh, you need to kind of not just wait on the muse." But I don't know. Personally, it felt like I should just wait until I have that burst of creativity, and then I can write solidly for an hour and then edit that hour. It feels a lot better for me and my time.
I think that everyone has got their own process and there is no right way of doing it. You know, um, for me, if I have to like the more choice I have, this is what I've realized, the more choice I have, the more difficult my life is. If I just take things out of the equation and I write a list and I know what I'm doing, or I set an hour aside for that, 30 minutes for that, and it's all clear, then I find myself in a much more manageable state and I am much more productive. Whereas, I mean, listening to iTunes, if I've just got the option of everything in the world, I'm like, I don't know what to listen to.
Yeah, yeah.
Whereas if I've just got my
Do you
list of things I like and
play it?
occasionally try something new, huh?
Yeah, I make playlists. I make playlists as well, like for different kind of feelings and stuff of like what I'm feeling in the day and like whereabouts that goes. Because otherwise, you're right. If you just put kind of shuffle all on, it just feels so overwhelming.
Chaos.
Yeah, I'm like that. I like to compartmentalize things and put
Yeah.
things into lists and write down times of the day of what I'm going to do, and it just helps. I think it just helps me be more productive.
Well, I'm 42 and I'm only just sort of starting to get it. So well done you. So you were talking about feelings there. How were you feeling before you had the idea for this play and what was going on for you?
Oh, it's a tricky question because the play really started when I was at drama school. If the idea for it really came when I was at drama school. It was the end of my second year, and England had that amazing tournament at the Euros 2020, which was played in 2021. And it was a real breath of fresh air for me as a football fan after a year of being in COVID, as it was for us all. After a year of being in COVID and trying to work out how drama school is going to work online and doing all my classes online and feeling quite kind of boxed in. Um, and then that summer, after almost a year of online drama school, we had that tournament, and then it all kicked off when we got to the final. And I wasn't actually meant to be watching the final in London. I was meant to be watching it outside of London. So the idea came when I went into London that day because I saw on social media how kind of hectic it was, and I was really interested by what it'd be like on Wembley Way. So I went to Wembley Way with a friend of mine, and we sort of just soaked in the atmosphere a bit, and it got really kind of messy, I suppose. Like throughout the day, it started off really jubilant, and then as the hours went on, it just got kind of worse and worse. And we left by about 4 o'clock. The game started at 8, so we left and went and watched the game where we were meant to watch it. And I just remember seeing on social media this guy that had put a flare between his bum cheeks, and it just stuck with me. So then that was a moment, and then I had the third year of drama school, and whilst I was kind of at drama school, it was kind of playing around in my head that once I leave here, I've got to kind of have a plan because although you go to drama school and you think, oh my God, I'm at drama school and now I'm going to graduate and then I'm going to get an agent and then I'm going to do all these things.
Yeah.
The reality of it is it's not really how it works at all. And I kind of knew that just from speaking to other people and just kind of being sort of watchful of other people that had left. And I was like, how can I kind of do my own thing and make sure that I'm still creatively fulfilled and not feeling like I'm sort of waiting around for anything. Skip to a whole year out of drama school and still haven't written a word of the play. And I was just sort of it was sort of 7 months, I suppose, and I kept telling people about it. And then this is kind of the thing that I've realised that I'm really bad at is telling people that you're doing something. Because if you keep telling people that you're doing something, you actually start beginning kind of subconsciously creating this kind of web of lies for yourself. I don't think people were probably holding you to it. My mates weren't going, "Oh, when's that thing you're doing?" Because you just kind of mentioned it in passing. I was going, "Oh yeah, I've got this idea about a guy who sticks a flare up his bum and then kind of taking that image and then putting it into a one-man show." And then I realized that I was talking about it and not doing anything about it. And I think that's kind of, I think that's probably true of a lot of things.
Yeah.
Even though I still do today. It's one of the only projects I've probably talked about loads and actually followed through with. Um,
But isn't
I think
that
there's
where
there's
all starts? You have to start saying it
yeah,
out loud, putting it out to the universe. So I wouldn't say it was a web of lies. It was the beginning of the creative process.
I agree with you. I guess that's quite self-deprecating, but in
Yeah.
the same time, it was almost a case of like, um, I think that creative process unfortunately has to have a time limit. You have to have kind of a restriction on that, otherwise you're going to kind of get away
Yeah.
with yourself.
You've got to
Um,
execute.
and I knew, yeah, and I knew that the Edinburgh Fringe is somewhere that I wanted to take it, and I knew that the from following the Edinburgh Fringe and stuff on social media and just getting their newsletters, it kept going, oh, the deadline is this date to submit a show, and I just knew that the closer those dates came, it was more and more looking like the following year, and then if it was the following year, then it could have happened again. So it was almost like
Yeah.
getting on that bus when I could, rather than waiting
Yeah.
for the next one. Because I think it just it I'd already had the kind of the mindset to be able to do it, but it was like, now you've actually got to do it, otherwise it would just pass you by, I suppose.
Yeah. Yeah. So talk us through. So then you started putting pen to paper, and um, what do they expect from the Edinburgh Fringe? How do you get something on there?
So there is kind of multiple companies at the Fringe. So you've got all the big ones, like the Pleasance, the Underbelly, what else? The Assembly Rooms, and they all kind of offer different offers and things, different box office splits. So you can kind of send out your play idea. A lot of them ask for the script, and they'll kind of make you an offer depending on whether they want the show and whether it
Mm.
fits what they're programming or not. I went with a company called The Space UK, who were lovely, and they they just liked kind of the concept of the show, so they took it on. Um, they were a bit more relaxed with, script. I didn't have to send them the script, which was really handy because I hadn't written it by the point that I'd applied. The first, or I had a first draft, but it wasn't going anywhere. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, I guess it's like doing your research on where you want to perform, and also maybe I went for like the smallest venue that I felt that I could go for. So it was a 50-seater venue, and it was kind of feasible to be able to sell so that I'd make the money back.
Yeah.
Um, it's always a risk as well financially, so that's something to bear in mind. Um, and so yeah, it was kind of, I had to go for something small and set those expectations not low, but just realistic, and make sure that I knew that people would come along, and also that it was a space that would fit the show well. We had it in
Yeah.
a thrust kind of thrust, yeah. So three sides. That's maybe right. There's my stagecraft knowledge coming in really poorly. I think it's a thrust where it's three sides.
It's about
But
as
it,
good as my.
it, it fit. Yeah, I've got honesty. But yeah, I think it was what we wanted for the show, and so it's just about kind of doing your research. Every company does these lovely ham packs and stuff that you can all. I think they're all always free to download online and stuff like that. So you can go on and just really dig in and see where you want to perform. I also went to the Fringe the year before just to kind of suss it out and work out where would be good and how it worked, and because I had
Yeah.
no idea. It's such I think it's such a scary thing, the Edinburgh Fringe. It's like this, like unless you've been, you can't really explain it. Like,
Hmm.
what do you mean people just turn in like business conference rooms into theatres? Like, it just doesn't make sense. But
And that's wild.
yeah, I think it's really worth going up there before and just checking it out before kind of
So
kind of going for it, because it's
yeah, it's a really good suggestion.
yeah.
Before we get into the crux of the play, what it is, what it's about, and writing it, how much did it cost? If you don't mind, you don't go into like just a few details about what sort of money it cost to put it, and do you get the money back? Do you lose money? Can you just talk us through that a little bit?
Yeah. I think it's probably important to preface that it's an absolute risk, and I think there's been a lot of discourse and chat about Edinburgh Fringe and whether it's actually financially viable anymore, for
Mm.
young artists. I was really lucky, to be honest with you. I had some money set aside to be able to do it. I did apply for funding, didn't get any funding. The Fringe does do various bursaries, and like I applied for the Phoebe Waller-Bridge one.
Oh
She
yeah.
gave 50 applicants, I think it was £2,000 to help out their show. Didn't get it. So I'll be completely honest. I lost money because I think it's important. I did lose money doing that, but now with the kind of longevity that the show has, the money will be seen again, which is amazing and like really really great. But I think it is really important to say that these things cost a lot of money and
Yeah.
it is hard. And I think Arts Council funding, unfortunately, is dwindling, and it seems like it's a little bit harder to get than maybe it used to be. I don't know. I'm just kind of entering in. I was never applying for Arts Council funding when I was 10, so I don't really know
Yeah.
what it was like back then. But I just, yeah, I guess the kind of darker side of it is that it is a risk, and that you should kind of do your budgets and stuff. Um, yeah, I think the 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 venues, some of them offer box office splits, so some of them you'll work with the venue and earn that money back. The venue that I was with,
Mm.
you paid a flat fee, and actually I made that fee back in ticket sales, which is good. But there's
Yeah.
so many stories of people going there and maybe getting like 2 or 3 audience members every day, and then it just becomes a complete financial car crash. And that is something that I think that needs to be really worked on as an
Mm.
industry. On top of that, the most expensive thing is the accommodation there, and I know that they're kind of doing something this year. I read they're making an artists' village for people going up there. I don't know how much that's going to help, but um, yeah, I guess it's something that needs to be considered. Edinburgh Fringe, like, yeah, there's other festivals as well. You've got the Camden Fringe. If you live in London, it's probably a better option as well, because you've got maybe accommodation that you already live at, so you just have to take the show to Camden. Uh, there's so many venues, pub theatres across London that you can try your work out at. So we were lucky enough to preview at the Old Red Lion, um,
Amazing.
which is run by a guy called Jack Robertson, who is the loveliest guy ever. And he just programmed the show because he felt that it would be a good fit for what he was programming at the time. And they
Yeah.
had us back for a week after the Fringe, which also helped with getting the money back.
Yeah.
And then really luckily, when we were in that week back at the Old Red Lion, that's when it got picked up by commercial producers, who then
Wow.
kind of took it on, and then financially it wasn't so much of a burden anymore.
Okay, we'll get to that bit. And it's safe to say that the Edinburgh Fringe is hard graft.
Yeah, it is. Well, I'll be honest. Like, it was, out of all the kind of process of the show. If I'm to be completely transparent and black and white, it was the hardest part of the whole thing. I felt it was the loneliest part as well, because you're at this festival and you're walking down the streets and there's so many posters, so many colours. It's really quite overwhelming and like overbearing, and
Mm.
people are sticking stars on their posters, and it feels weirdly very competitive. But you also know you're working, but you also want to go and enjoy other people's shows. And the amount
Yeah.
of times that people would be like, "Oh, do you want to come see my show?" I'll be like, "Yeah, I'll come tomorrow." And then I go do my show that night. I get absolutely wiped out by it, completely knackered. I don't wake up till, because we were on at 11:15 every night, and the show's an
Gosh.
hour long. So it was like by midnight I was just dead, and then the
Yeah.
next morning I wouldn't wake up till probably like 11 a.m.
Yeah.
And then it would be like getting myself around Edinburgh, and I was staying outside of Edinburgh town. So when I got into Edinburgh, it was like, I'm in Edinburgh now, then I will stay here until I do my show, rather than getting back
Yeah.
out again. And
Yeah.
yeah, it just felt, because it was just me as well. It's a one man show, so it felt very
Great.
isolating and lonely at times. The
Yeah.
stage manager that I'm with was really lovely as well, but she was working on 3 other shows, so it was like I didn't really get to see her during the day or anything. So it was very much a case of waiting for people to come and visit, or come and see the show that I knew that I could kind of say hi to. But it's really tough, and a really I remember I remember the first review that came in from the Fringe. I think it was the stage, and it was and by the way, I know that reviews they're not the be all and end all, especially from an acting perspective. But when you're producing and like you've written something, it feels a lot more personal to get a
Yeah.
review, and you know that ticket sales kind of rely on these reviews. And the stage gave it 3 stars, and I just remember thinking, oh no, like, it's a lovely, well written review, and it's not bad at all, and it almost reads like a 4 star review. But the fact is, it's I can't market the show with it, and that was like maybe day 2, and then luckily some lovely reviews started to come in, and it really helped kind of sell the show. And I put those reviews up on social media and put them on the poster, and
Yeah.
Um, and then luckily, uh, Amelia de Moldenberg, who's the chicken shop girl, she came in on the show that was right at the midpoint of the run, and she really kindly let us kind of put a photo of me and her up holding the program on Twitter. And after that, we were pretty much sold out every night. So it's just
Wow.
kind of it's a massive lottery, like
Yeah.
it's the same time as oh, forgive me, her name, I think her name's Georgie Greer. She did the Sunsets show, and on her second performance, maybe only had two people, and put it online that she'd not got very many people in, and it blew up, went viral, and then she was sold out for the rest of the run. So I think it's very much like a lottery and a complete
Yeah.
kind of cacophony of like madness. Like
Yeah.
you can't really you can't really explain it, and you can't really predict where your journey there is going to go.
Yeah. You just got to go and do it. So, Alex,
Yeah.
tell us about what the play is, what it's about, and the writing process that you then had to get through.
Okay, so the play's got a very bold title, which it's called "Why I Stuck a Flower Up My Ass for England," and it's about a guy. It's a real life event, but I try to kind of distance it from the real life event as much as possible, because on that day, multiple people stuck a flare, which is like a smoke grenade, between their backsides. One guy in particular went very famous and very viral for it, and it was all over social media. And so I saw that image and I thought that's like a that's quite Shakespearean in a way. It feels quite dramatic. There's something about it that at a final of an international tournament, someone feels the need to do something so big, so kind of brash and over the top. And I go to football every week, and I'm a Brentford fan, so I've kind of been home and away from with them for as long as I can really remember, and I know what it feels like to be that passionate about football, and maybe sometimes do something that's a little bit silly in the name of the game. And then I thought, actually, how many times have we seen on stage a character that is a football fan that is just passionate and is just allowed to be in his community without maybe being a bit reprimanded for being maybe a bit, you know, crazy or goofy. And I wanted to use that idea to kind of explore toxic masculinity and being a diehard football fan and what that is to belong to a community. So I came up with this character called Billy, who essentially works at his dad's hair salon. He can't cut hair, so he just makes the teas and coffees and sweeps the floor. And it's quite he's just got his A level results and they're not very good. So he has no direction in life really. But what he does have is he goes to AFC Wimbledon every week with his best mate Adam. And one week after, you know, working at their hair salon, he bumps into this new group of mates, uh, the antagonist Wine Gum and his gang of mates, and they kind of take him under his wing, and he starts to realize there's this other kind of world of the game where you can like be a man and show yourself and do all these crazy things and drink loads of lager and go away to Manchester and give it and it's his kind of calling. Um, Apart from it's not. So the play kind of gets to this point. It's relentless and so kind of yeah, just energetic and I mean every night I do it, I just sweat so much. Like, it's horrible, like
Yeah.
because it's just the way that I wrote it is just there's not it's kind of 55 minutes straight through and it just keeps punching and punching and punching until this kind of climax that I won't spoil, but yeah,
Yeah. Don't
that's
give us the ending.
yeah,
Um,
I
I just
won't.
want to say quickly that obviously the interference on this is really bad, but we can
Yeah.
usually, I'm just like, oh, trying to get rid of it. I'll get my brother to cut this little bit out in the middle. And I don't know how
Okay.
to, but
Is there
when we,
anything I can do on my
I don't think so. If you hit mute and then on, like, if you keep hitting mute and unmute just really quick, sometimes that helps. Um, it's just
how's
really
that?
weird. Yeah, I mean that is better already, but it just keeps building. So
Yeah.
apologies, and
It
it
sounded
will we'll be able to take that out. I know, it was just getting so bad. It felt like I was in an aeroplane. Okay, so let's. So the staging for this brilliant play, what sounds brilliant, I can't wait to see it, is very simple, or how did you manage that and come up with the ideas for that?
So I had this director come on board, Sean Turner, who
Mm.
is so lovely, and I was going to do it by myself. I'll be honest, I was going to like just run around the stage and just kind of come up with it myself in the rehearsal room. And a lot of people told me not to do that, and I think probably for good reason, like because I think there comes a point where you have to just have a second eye on it. Anyway, he wanted it quite minimum and minimal, and just kind of strip it right back and make the character really live in amongst the audience. So
Mm.
we have very minimal set, and just kind of hints to the different props that are very important to Billy's life. And he makes me he kind of makes me he hates me. He doesn't remember this. He doesn't remember saying it in the rehearsal room. But I was doing it. I was doing a run of it. I was like, oh my God, Sean, I don't know if I can do this. I'm absolutely knackered, like 25 minutes into the play. And he said, that's great. I want to see my actors working. I want to see them sweat. He's not a cynical guy at all, but I just remember it very well. And I was like, is there any chance I can have a like a tea towel or just like a face towel behind one of the bits of set? And he was like, no, no, we got to see you sweat. So it's very much like a kind of bombastic, relentless uh,
Yeah.
performance, I suppose. It doesn't really
And
give me a moment's breath.
was he a friend of yours that has done you a favor, or was that one of your investments in the piece to pay someone to
It,
come and
it
direct?
was it was one of my investments, but again, it was budgeted and thought through, and now we're very much good friends, and he's just been such a kind of asset to the project. So
Mm.
it almost feels like sometimes it feels like if it wasn't for him, if I'd have cut that corner, both kind of financially and creatively, it feels like I don't think the play would be where it is. So
Mm.
sometimes you look back and think maybe it was worthwhile doing that.
Yeah.
Um, because you want it to be the best it can be, and if I've, I'm very much of the kind of I suppose that's where we go right back to where I was talking about the playwriting, and I don't really want to I don't know if it's called being a perfectionist or whatever, but it feels very much like I can't do things by halves. If I'm doing something, I have to believe in absolute and that it's going to
Yeah.
work, especially with the pressure of the festival and the finance and all those different things. I think it's a really kind of difficult thing because you want to be able to create work without those restrictions. You want to be able to, be as creatively and um, creatively free as possible, I suppose. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, I almost feel like it's worth,
So
not cutting those corners.
yeah, I was going to ask you, what was the most well spent money? Do you think the investment that was of the most value?
Sean, 100%.
Yeah.
He brought a massive level of calmness to me as a performer. Uh, I equally think that's not an investment that doesn't it's an investment that doesn't have to be financial. Like you said, you could have a friend that wants to direct and get into it. Um, but Sean just he completely chilled me out about everything. He had experience of taking things to the fringe. He knew how that
Yeah.
worked. He knew how to direct me. He understood the play, and the most vitally important thing is that he was passionate about the script, and he read the script and he wanted to do it.
Yeah.
So I think that without him, it would have been it could have been a very different story.
So, Alex, what are your top tips for anyone reading this going, oh, I did have an idea, but oh, I'm in fear of it, or they have a lot of self-doubt. What would be your top tips for getting your own show made?
Not number one, just do. Like, that's such a cliche one, but there's no harm in just sitting down and writing those ideas out, because once you've got a Word document with a play on it, you've written a play, and there's
Mm.
no getting away from that. You've done it. Um, Number two, don't be afraid of sharing. I think something that I was really afraid of was sharing my work, and the hard truth is that if you don't share, then it will never get any better. So it will never get to a standard where you feel like you can get on your feet and do it, or you can pass it over to actors and feel like they can do it. So just share to people that you trust. In a way, it's people that you maybe not don't trust slightly. Just getting it out there and just taking risks and showing people. Always watermark it as well, just in case, and like export it as a PDF just in case
Yeah.
someone tries to do whatever. And
Very
number three,
exposing, isn't it?
yeah, it is. It's a
So
horrible,
exposing.
like, it's
You have to
so
allow yourself to
exposing.
be really vulnerable in those moments.
Because writing is, it's there's so much of me and Billy, like there's so much in there. So writing is completely, it's basically like it's like putting a therapy session on page for me. I
Yeah.
know that a lot of people disagree with me on that, but I know from kind of my experience that a lot of it is getting your own experiences out there onto a page, whether they're kind of buried in amongst a loads of other fiction and stuff. It's still all in there. So yeah,
Good
be
tip.
be be as fearless as you can with it,
Yeah.
and be ready to expose yourself to being vulnerable.
So
And
Southern, oh, sorry, go on.
oh, no, go ahead. I'm running out of tips. Thank you.
Oh, sorry, I thought you were finished. Well, I was just going to say,
No,
so
no.
Southwick Playhouse swooped in, saw the rerun of it at the pub after Edinburgh Fringe, and just quickly tell us how that's happening, what your dates are, when people can come and see it.
Okay, so quickly, when we were at the Old Red Lion on the week after the Fringe, it was actually some like independent producers that saw the show. I was already in the back of my mind thinking about whether I'm going to park the whole thing all together to one side, or whether I'm going to try and reach out to venues across the UK and try formulate some sort of tour. But then, like the next day after that, I'd done the show, and I got an email from um, the lovely Joshua Beaumont and his co-producer Matthew Imini, and they said they'd like to produce it. So they took it on, and they sorted kind of taking it to Southwark, who very kindly took it to their venue, and then they're also formulating a UK tour for the autumn. So it's kind of all on them now, in a way, which is nice because it takes the
Yeah.
pressure off. It means we can just focus creatively on it. So yeah, we're on at the Southwick Playhouse Borough, in the large space from the 17th of April to the 4th of May. And there's, because we're playing in rep with another one-man show from the Fringe, each night is a slightly different time. So it's either 7 o'clock or I believe it's 8:45, and then a few
Okay.
matinees on a Tuesday and a Saturday.
And has the play changed much in this new space, or is it very much the same
Um,
piece?
Technically, it's going to be a lot more kind of vibrant, I guess. So we've got a lighting designer, which is really exciting because bless Sean, we got into the spaces at the Old Red Lion and in the Fringe venue last year, and I sort of said, "Oh, I haven't thought about lighting." So he was kind of using his experience to sort of double up as a lighting designer, and it was all a bit of a
Yeah.
mess. But we got through it, and we managed to make something. But it's really nice to have a lighting designer on board that's going to kind of come up with these ideas and really elevate the show. And then we've also got new kind of bits of set and stuff in there as well. So the show's going to feel a lot more, a lot more vibrant.
Amazing. Well, Alex, I can't wait to come and see it. I'm going to congratulate you on being productive. You've done it, you're doing it. Be gentle with yourself. Keep writing, keep doing the work.
Thank you,
And I
Charlie.
can't wait to see
Thank you
what
for
happens.
having me on.
with your future and your career. It's an absolute joy to have you on here. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
And
Thanks for
I
having
will,
me.
and I'll see you soon. Over and out.
See you soon.
Bye. Thanks for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, remember to hit the subscribe button. And for more information on IAMPRO, visit IAMPRO.com or follow us on Insta @IAMPRO.